Hey folks, Gwe. Congressional Representative Adam Kinzinger had some words for the church. I'll include a video in the comments for you to check out yourself. It's a short video. He made a statement about the church's role in the elevation of Donald Trump. The church's role in some of the things we're seeing right now, especially in the Republican Party, in American democracy. But again, for those out there who are with me here in Canada, we're not too terribly far away from it. Anyway, what he says is that the church, instead of worshiping Christ, began worshiping Trump. Now, he doesn't say every church has done it. He said some of our churches now worship Donald Trump and worship Donald Trump's ilk. He said, but the church in general has had a role in this massive shift. I think he's right there. I think he's absolutely right there. He also says that the church in general has a role to play in cleaning this mess up. And I think he's right there as well. See, we all know that there are the sins we commit, the things that we do. And we also know that there are the sins that we commit when we don't do the things we should do, when we don't say the things we should say, when we don't teach the things we should teach. There are the sins of idolatry, where we say, oh, Donald Trump is the greatest thing in the history of such and such. Or, just to be fair, Justin Trudeau is the greatest thing in the history of everything, and we should follow these people. That's idolatry, and that is sinful. And coming from the pulpit, that is probably doubly so. But there's also the sin that some of us have committed when we haven't spoken up vehemently enough about this kind of teaching. When we didn't speak up vehemently enough and say, this is wrong, this is not okay, this is not the direction we should be going. This is not the mission that Christ asks us to undertake. Which leads us back to what Kinzinger says the church's mission should be going forward. Now, his language is plain. He says the church, we need pastors and ministers to be willing to stand up and say, listen, this is about souls. It's not about government. Yes, you can be involved in government, but our mission here in the church is not about government, it's about souls. Now, I would go further and say it's about souls, but it's about helping people to live this life in the most abundant and vibrant and relevant and purposeful, missional way. That the role of the church is to equip the saints. Right? That's what we say. We want to equip the saints to do Christ's work in this world. Because from the church perspective, we believe that, real, lasting, everlasting change isn't going to come at the stroke of a pen as we legislate our belief system into law, but rather real change is only going to happen when we free people, when we free their spirits, when we help them fill their hearts with love for all the people around them. Real change happens when we are able to transform, and when we transform, we're able to help our friends and our neighbors and the people around us to transform. And through that, we're able to see the community transform. And as the community transforms, soon the world transforms. But it starts in here. It starts in here for the individual. My focus, our focus as church, shouldn't be about trying to change everybody else to make them do things our way. It should be working within ourselves and within the body of our congregation to help all of these people, as well as ourselves, become the people that we're supposed to become the people that God created us to become the people that Christ asks us to be for all those people who aren't members of these congregations. This is the mission. Our mission is not about parliaments or Congress or senates. It's not about, the church is not about drafting legislation. The church is not about drafting legislation that Jesus would put his stamp of approval on. It's not about trying to force the people all around us to live the way we think they should live. It all comes back to us. Because if I'm trying to force them to live in a very particular way, soon I've got to police them. And there's got to be carrots and there's got to be sticks in place to make sure that people behave the way I want them to behave. And it just doesn't work. It becomes something that is filled with spite and filled with hatred and filled with resentment. And Jesus asks us to create none of those three things. No, we're called to personal transformation. We're called to corporate transformation within the body of our churches, and it's through that transformation that we help the world become a better place. Through love and through freedom. Through equality and justice. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that you and I will follow that path. It is the better path. The path that Christ asks us to walk is one of individual and church transformation so that we can be the people out in our communities that our communities need us to be. That we'll reject the desire to write good, solid Christian value laws. That we'll reject the desire to control people. And instead we'll focus on loving them as we learn to love ourselves. Amen. Nemultus.